Yeah, my name is Isabella Marquez. I own a social media consultancy and I do influencing on Instagram. And I literally never gave like any cares about my house. My love life is still a little wonky and XYZ. And you were like, Isabella, like the pictures are still on the floor in your bedroom. Like, hello, like you're not pouring into you, you're still pouring into everything else.
Hey everybody, this is a new client of mine, Isabella. She had a crazy experience with Feng Shui. We're going to talk today about her before, her during, and her after. She's going to share her true experience and what she thought of it, what the results she got were. So, Isabella, can you explain or can you share with us who you are, a little bit of what you do, and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm so excited that I get to share this because this is something that I've wanted to do for so long. And I think I was like, classically hesitant of, well, I'm not in my forever home. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm so glad that I did it. Yeah, my name is Isabella Marquez. I own a social media consultancy and I do influencing on Instagram. Um, and I literally never gave like any cares about my house ever. And I just like, but I heard like so much online of like, put attention into your house. Well, actually, the reason that I, like, fell in love with your work is because I listened to you on, like, the You Up podcast,
Yeah.
and you were talking to, like, Jared about his love life, and the way that you described feng shui was so different to me and, like, so intentional of, like, goal setting, and for me, if I have a why and I have a goal, I'll do anything, but I can't just do it randomly, and I felt like you really brought that to the space.
Yeah, giving your feng shui, I call it feng shui is giving your space attention with intention. So that connected with you.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I there were just like things that I wanted to like call into my life. And I felt like, like I have an awesome coach. I'm in therapy. I'm doing a lot of like the mental. And of course, part of this is like absolutely energetic, but I wanted something that felt more actionable. Like I could see it every day. And I was like, I think if I really liked my house, I'd probably feel a lot better.
Yeah. So feng shui had already been something that was like on the radar because you're in this world of doing like
Of
personal
course.
development, self care, all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about, tell the people, tell the people where you were. So I was looking back at our notes. We met and
I
like
have mine
chatted in
too.
April. Yeah, in April because the podcast episode came out in April, but we met and like started the feng shui process in November. Can you explain to people like where you were at mentally, physically in your career, just overall what was going on that you were like, now's the time?
Yeah, absolutely. So April was like, well, to just go back a little bit. So like February, actually, literally this weekend last year, this upcoming weekend is when I lost my grandmother, and she was like just my like I mean, but like my soulmate, like the most important person in my life. And so all of a sudden it felt like I lost my North Star. And the spring like was me figuring out like who I was when I saved money and went on trips to see her. I found time in my schedule to
Mm,
call her. I spent my summers and stayed in New York to be with her. Like that was my North Star for everything. And so April, yeah, like April basically season, I'm turning 25, and I was like, I have to find my North Star. And so that's when I always like personal development, but I can't say that I had ever like deeply invested like money or time into like coaches and consultants. And that's when I was like, all right, all of a sudden this stuff kind of started popping up, like you on the podcast, people on my Reels feed. And I was like, it's time that I invest in these things because like I have to be my own North Star now. And I probably
mm,
should have always been, but not that I have any regrets, but I never thought about it that way until I didn't have my thing, you
yeah,
know?
I do know. Yeah.
Um, and then when we chatted, I had decided that I had outgrown my space and it was time for me to move a little out of downtown and kind of more into my own, just like more like privacy, more like just little physical space. And so I like basically had said to you, like, I need to work with you, but even just talking to lit the spark under my butt that like that was not my spot that I wanted to feng shui. I wanted to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, and so okay, so you were looking for a North Star in a new space and knew that you wanted to be more intentional once you got into the new one. Because in
Hmm.
general in your life, you wanted to see more, like, intentionality and yeah, like, have this why.
1000%.
Yeah.
And like follow through. And I think what I didn't realize when I was starting to work with you, like in our first session, like, you really, like, hammered home, like, why, and, like
Yeah.
like I get uncomfortable and I'll kind of get like tight in the chest and like I don't really know, but you help me, like you sit with me in that, and then we would get like over the hump, and then I could tell you why. And then it was like, well, no wonder. Like, of course I'm gonna keep my house clean and do all this stuff. Like I have a why now, I have a reason. And
Yeah.
you really helped me, and I was reflecting on this week, like build my own North Star and figure out like what I
Mm.
wanted and how to say it. And like that's like priceless to me. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, part of a unique way that I do feng shui is we have this intention setting portion, and most people,
Yep.
like, you don't expect that. You I think most people think they're gonna log in, I'm gonna say, "Move a plant, move your couch, put this picture here,"
Yes.
and boom, everything's great. Because I that makes me remember in the beginning, we were doing your intention setting, and you were like, "Wait, does everybody do it this long, or is this just me? Like, is it supposed to be this long?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Because,
And I
yeah,
was like, is there
most
something wrong
people
with me?
and I was like, "No, most people do not sit down. They're so busy. They're rushed in life. They're building a business. It's like one day they just became a business owner. And when was the last time they like sat down and actually reflected on the plan for their life? They have their business strategy, but they don't have like the life strategy. And so
Hmm.
having the why is amazing. So then you listed all of your intentions. Even after that session, how did you feel just like having said all of it and
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah, so I think at that point, right, I'm in the new space. I feel like really comfortable in the house. And what was really cool too is when you like read my plan, you like affirmed for me that this was like this space was the space of me like really finding myself. And I intuitively picked this apartment, so that was like really cool for me. I mean, honestly, I guess one of the coolest things about listing out the intentions with you, and I'm like looking down just because I have them in front of me just as like a reflection. I was embarrassed by some of the things that I felt like were holding me back. And I think having a space where you could say them out loud, be met with like validation, no judgment, and also action was huge. And like, I didn't
Mm,
really like one of the things I told you that like I don't talk about a lot, but I'll share on here just like in case anybody else is struggling with this. Like, I'm a successful entrepreneur, yet I struggle with follow through. And that was killing me because it's so disjointed with the fact that I
mhm,
can grow and scale so quickly. But like when it comes to follow through for myself, I often found myself incapable, which is sort of why I wanted to pour energy and love back into my house. And like
mhm.
you just validated that for me. And we talked about like ways that I could start doing that and things I could put up around my house that would like literally help me do that.
Yeah, your our homes, our external is a reflection of our internal. Our homes are quite literally an extension of us. So the home usually reflects like if you're feeling out of control, if you don't follow through with things, right? There were some pictures on the ground not hung up, or there were some things that were like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
get to this later. I'll move this later. I'll figure this out later. And it was like, but now that you know where you want to go,
Hmm.
how about we do it now so that it sets
Right.
you up to support
And
you to get
remember
you where you want
too,
to go?
like it was so funny. I think it was our second to last. We did 3 sessions, right? So our middle session. So first session, like I'm locked in. I'm like, okay, I understood the concept. Like your home is a reflection. I used to think that was bullshit and that everybody was dumb and I could just do it better. Like to be honest, like
Yeah,
I was like,
that's all right.
yeah, it's true for everybody else, but not for me, right? And if you think that, I hear you, but also like this will take you to that next level, right? Like it doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with you, but you're ready to go next level, then this is a place you can invest. So I did everything we talked about, and I felt really cool about that. Like everything on the checklist besides the one thing I like couldn't find. Like just because and you said, hey, listen, like if you can't find it and you don't like it,
Yeah,
wait.
the layering process, yeah.
Except for then I showed you my bedroom and I hadn't done anything in there. And you were like, that's your personal energy room. Like your bedroom is your like, and everybody's if you work with Jeanette, she'll explain to you like what each part of your house kind of represents. And for me, my bedroom was like my personal energy room, my relationships room, and I hadn't done anything. And I was like, I'm really showing up so much better, but like I'm still not totally there. And I feel like my love life is still a little wonky and XYZ. And you were like, Isabella, like the pictures are still on the floor in your bedroom. Like, hello, like you're not pouring into you, you're still pouring into everything else.
Yeah.
Even though inherently doing the other things is still showing up for myself. And it was just crazy to see that like reflection in my own space.
Yeah. 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 It was still well, what can I do in the lucky career success direction? What can I do for money? What can I do to like get more people? Like every business owner is always
Of
thinking
course.
about, and they're never
Right.
thinking about, how should I like feed into my energy so I have energy to find clients and fulfill those clients? And yeah, that's such a good I love looking back and seeing like the parts that stick out in hindsight and like how people like the aha moments people have. So, can you explain to people, they think that maybe it's gonna cost a lot to make this recommended adjustments or
Hmm.
take a lot of time, may and like kinda you said, you were like, "I have a lot to do, I'm running a business." My house is usually like my last thought. Like, so I know people are thinking it might not be the most time effective thing for them to give their space attention with intention.
Yeah. So I would say a couple of things. I'll touch on the time and then the money because both surprised me. So with the time, it was really just committing to doing it more than it was like that it took a lot of time. And for me, the hardest part was cleaning the space to make the space better. But it like I made it fun. So like have a friend who's like very intentional with her space, and so I invited her over and I was like, "I'll buy you dinner if you sit with me while I do this." And then
Yeah.
she ended up doing it with me and we were blasting Christmas music and like you can make it fun. And it took that was like the prep was like one night, which for a lot of people probably isn't that if you're in an apartment, not that amount of time, but like she's gonna put some of my before and afters on here, which is like literally the most embarrassing thing that's ever been on the internet about me. Like
Mm.
my house was a shithole. Like I just didn't care. I mean, it wasn't like dirty, but it was like
Yeah.
cluttered and like just unintentional. You'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
But what's funny is you didn't think it was cluttered at the time. You're like, "This is no it's, like, okay."
yeah,
Like,
I
I
knew
don't
it was
think
like,
and then it was, like, once you
mm-mm.
did it, you were like, "Whoa, my" like, for the front door specifically, you were like, "Hold up, I didn't realize that it had gotten to that point." Like
Yeah. Well, and I think for me too, like when I had sent you the original videos, like I was packing for a trip. So it was like particularly messy. And so in my mind, I was like, well, it's just because I was packing for a trip. And then I was like 20% of that is because of the trip for sure. But like, I just didn't think it mattered, you
Right.
know? I just didn't. And now, like, it's so funny when I have friends come over, they'll literally like everybody who's come over is because I would say like after our last session, like it's truly it really is a home now. And people
Mhm.
walk in and be like, "Whoa, what happened to you?" Like, "When did you get like this?" And I'm like, "It's magic. It's Jeanette." And then I send them your account. But yeah, so that was way less time than I thought.
Mm.
Especially if your house is already in decent condition. And
Which
then the
most
money,
successful
like,
people, like, businesses, like, they are. So then there's, like, the other side of the spectrum where they're like, "I don't need feng shui, it's just about decluttering." And so, like, it's good enough, you know? But it's, like, that
oh,
intention, it's, like,
interesting.
that layer. Yeah, so they're, like there's the end of the spectrum where people think it's all decluttering, but I would say most successful business people, like, it's not, like, crazy. It's general, like, you can tell all the time goes into the business and not so much, like, organizing to the T, but it's
Hmm.
nice still, right? And
Yeah.
so then they're like, "Well, since I don't need to, like, declutter." And it's like, no, there's this layer of intention and connecting with your home and understanding what different parts of your home mean, which is more you had said, more motivating to keeping things up to a better par.
Yeah, I agree. And like, for example, we talked about like, so you guys can see like this wall behind me, and this was like my like spirituality, like inner wisdom, like a vision board for like your ideal lifestyle as opposed to like your career. It's kind of like what we did here. And it's like just a daily reminder of like, oh, these are kind of the things you're working towards, two of which just to tell people. So this one we put on here, I ended up there already. We did this what month? They'll say December, end of
November,
December.
December, yeah,
But I
after
did this wall
Thanksgiving.
specifically end of December because remember I
Mm.
was like hemming and hawing on like the
Oh, yeah,
pictures
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. You were
yeah,
like, "This
yeah.
is all I didn't get to it." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then January 12th, I ended up here. Literally here, like, it was crazy, like, at my friend's apartment, and I'm, like, standing there, and I got up, and I was like, "Holy shit, look at this picture." I put this on my photo wall, and now I'm at your apartment in Florida for the first time, so that was crazy, and
Yeah.
then this one up here, middle one, is, like, a podcasting studio, and in the past week, if you count this, I've been on 3 different podcasts, and you and I were talking about in the last call, like, I was like, "Yeah, I hit that one," like, I put a new one in there, and then, like, boom, I just hit that one. So,
Whoa.
yeah, and it's like it's really cool to have visual reminders of the things that you're working for. One, to keep you going, but two, to like then be like, "Oh my god, I did that thing." Like, and take the time to be like, "Whoa."
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What did
Yeah.
you what is the other area like, talk about the front doing the front door. I feel like that's the other one that was just, like, a
Oh
big
yeah.
hit.
Oh yeah. So you and I talked about two things. So the first thing I'll say the first area that I like spent all the time on, bathroom front door, which was funny because in the first call we had identified like front door was a big space for money and flow, but the
Mhm.
bathroom we didn't talk about till the second call. But
Mhm.
intuitively, like that's where I went. And mainly when I started working with you, like North Star and money, that's what I wanted, right? So intuitively, I did that. Ended up being a great move. But I did the front door. One, I had like, I could barely open my front door to get in. And I'm not like a hoarder. I just like,
No, yeah.
stuff just was like in weird spots. And I was just like, yeah, screw it. Who needs the full access to their front door? Like it's dumb. Oh my God.
Yeah.
whatever. So I like clean it all out. And you and I had set an income goal for me, which was what essentially my goal was to like double my income, or
Mhm.
what would you say? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I did like literally 3 times. Yeah, like nothing was really that different. Like, I mean,
Right.
like
Because
obviously, like
but
go ahead.
specifically in your apartment, the money energy's at your front door. So front door for everybody is like great. It's like important, but you
My
have
front
money
door.
energy at your front door based on your apartment's like astrology, let's call it. Yeah, the natal chart of your home. So it's like super
Yeah.
important.
And I'm super careful with it now. Like you told me, like I don't have a huge apartment, I don't have a ton of space. So like not everything is gonna be able to be clear and pristine, but like rather than just having my shoes out, like it sounds so silly, but I just have a shoe bin and I put the shoes in pairs. So it just doesn't look chaotic. And then I pull my
Mhm.
shoes out in pairs and I hang my coats up. And when there's 15 coats on there, I'm like, oh, it's time to put some coats back in the closet. Like, and I'm just
Mm,
now that I know that it affects my income flow, I'm just so
yeah.
intentional with it because like I would have always told you like I'm a mess. Like I'm a clean mess like in the house. I never thought I would care about any of this. And I literally did not think I had the skills to do it. Like
Yeah.
because it is not natural for me. Like
Right.
the upkeep has been a journey, but like it is so easy for me now. Like
Yeah.
earlier I sent you some after pictures and I just kind of like neatened up around the house. It took me 20 minutes. Like before I worked with you, upkeeping would have taken me not even necessarily because it was messier, but just because my brain couldn't do it, would have taken me an hour to take those pictures for you.
Yeah, and now you've mentioned, I think you kinda mentioned it here, but you've mentioned it between us that having that why also helps
Oh,
with
it's
the
the why.
mental, like, "Oh, I'll
It's
just do
everything.
it." Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't function without a why. And I think that's a lot of humans, but it's definitely also ADHD humans. If you have ADHD, then you know I had an ADHD house. I had doom piles everywhere. Like,
Mm,
and so if I know why I'm doing something and that why excites me, right? Like you have ADHD,
yeah,
you gotta be excited about what you're doing. There you go.
there you go. Cool.
Huge.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked about so it didn't cost you a lot, like, did you buy anything? Did you
Yeah. I was just gonna say we should touch on that. So I would say like in the 3 months of us working together, at my own discretion, I probably spent $300. Like, and that is I didn't have any frames. So I needed to buy frames because I didn't have any. Um, you didn't tell me to do this, but there was a great spot for a plant. So I bought like a palm tree because a lot of my vision boarding is like more Florida-esque. But again, I didn't have to do that. Um, I got like one art piece I wanted for my bedroom, but most of it I would say was for me was decluttering, which by the way, I made money because I sold a lot of stuff. Um,
Mm,
Easy. I just got a thread up bag and put a bunch of stuff in there and sent it out because I don't really have the time to like sell on like Facebook Marketplace, and I wasn't selling anything massive. I mean, but I also tripled my income, so I would have spent more. But like I think I'm trying to look at anything else that I bought. It really was mostly frames, and I just didn't want to buy shitty ones. So
yeah,
frames. Oh, and then printing the photos, right? And I bought bigger ones, which are it's like stupid that photos cost money. And then yeah, a palm tree. I literally think that's
yeah.
it. We
Yeah,
didn't
but
buy
mostly we
much.
repurposed and repositioned, like, you
Mm.
already had, like, the love picture, and we, like, put it in a purposeful area, or you had, like, the yellow ottoman, and we put it in a purposeful area. A lot
Yeah,
of it
a
was just
hundred percent.
repurposing.
Yep, and yeah, that was basically it, and then it was also, like, Christmas season, so a little bit of that
Yeah.
budget too was, like, buying Christmas decorations that, like, went with what my new setup was, that
Mhm.
I'm gonna use again, so
Yeah. Yeah, so we touched on the like, the space is not an issue, the time was not an issue, and we've talked about a lot of your results. Well, who would you say that this is for? I have an idea of who this is for, but I think once you've done it, who do you think it's for, and what would you say to people who are on the fence about it?
yeah, so I can get, like, more granular after, and, like, this is gonna sound probably interesting, but I think, like, this is like, if you wanna like yourself more, and you wanna,
Mhm.
like, believe in yourself more, and you wanna trust yourself more, like, taking care of a home and being intentional about my space has really made me like myself more, like, a lot more.
Mm.
Yeah, like and not to say that I was, like, some self-loathing person before I met you, but, like, I always was like, I can't keep a home," but, like, I can't do that, my brain doesn't work that way, and, like, to do it and know that I can do it, and I don't have to be the one that does it forever, when the
Right,
money
right,
is
right.
moneying. but like, and then and the accountability of having you knowing I'm going to meet with you in a month, so like I gotta do it because otherwise, like, what the hell, what are you spending money on, right? Like, pointless.
Yeah.
um and so I think that's huge. But I think if you're a person who understands that the world is bigger than just you in any capacity, um and you want to call something into your life, and you're ready for that next level of life, or next level of comfort, or next level of whatever it is that you're looking for, like, you don't even really have to know what it is, because like in this first session, like we did, you're going to identify it.
Yeah.
So you're going to get clarity, and you're probably going to make more money. I mean, if you're anything like me, and like a lot of your testimonials say, right? Because I
Yeah.
see what you post in your stories.
Mhm.
um you're just going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah. That personal life, having your personal life together has helped you in the other areas of your life
Oh
and
my
has
god, well,
helped you
yeah.
professionally.
Yeah, and I step into my home and I don't feel like, okay, I have to go right to my bedroom because it's too messy out here, or I have to close all the doors so nobody sees what the rest of my apartment looks like, or like I just come home and I take my shoes off and I'm like, oh, I love being here. And I loved, I have a nice apartment. Like I manifested this apartment I've been talking about, a apartment that just looks just like this for years. But then I was walking into this apartment that I manifested and I hated the inside of it,
Mm.
and that didn't feel right. And now I will
Yeah.
come home and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, you just went on a trip and when you came back, you were like, "Wait, I, like, missed my house. It feels so much
I
more
messaged you
magical
and I was like,
here."
I don't want to. Yeah, and it's like I love to travel, but I don't want to be anywhere else. And like now 1000%, like I was looking at a trip for March for the month, and I was like, already, once I get my top 2 places, I'm gonna send them to you and have you like read them for me and tell me like, okay, this one will kind of help with this goal and this one will help with this goal. Like,
Hell yeah.
that's how into this I am. Like I will keep you with me when I move, like, because I won't be here forever. When I travel, like I will be tapping into you like always. You're now
Yeah,
like,
and
in my mind, you're on my team now. Like,
I love it, and yeah, on that point, to wrap it up, people who are like, "I'm gonna wait till my dream home." We kinda said it, but for you,
no,
you're
don't do
like,
that.
it's helping you get where you wanna go, which I don't
Oh my
wanna be
god,
biased, I
yeah.
say this all the time, but I feel like until you experience it, which is why I like having your, opinion so you can share with people, like, what if you had waited until you were already in your dream home, you know?
I don't know that I would have gotten there, or gotten there
Yeah,
as fast. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
it's like, and we've talked about this a lot, and things have shifted for me a little recently. But like I had big plans of like moving to Florida. And I don't think that it's something I'm not going to do. It's just not as much on the precipice of my timeline right now. And so when you and I had chatted, like, we talked about that, and I was like, well, what if I want to move? But it's like, if we're constantly thinking about, I just was on a different podcast and we were talking about this. Like, if you're making all your decisions for the right time and the future, and you're
Mm,
not going to go anywhere. Like, if you want future goals, you have to do things to get to them now. And part of that is mindset, personal development, feng shui, like now, like
yeah,
enjoy now. Like, I wanted a home that I loved so that I could be happier in a city that I
now.
don't necessarily want to be in forever?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well,
Yeah, you
thank you
definitely
so
don't
much
need
for
to wait.
sharing your accountability or like your account. I keep thank you so much for sharing your account of the scenario. Everybody, for all of your social media needs, if you're growing your business, Isabella can help you. You can DM her. What is
Yeah.
your Instagram handle?
Oh, so my Instagram handle it's Isabella with 2 extra A's on the end of Isabella Marquez. It's a long one. It's easier to just probably look in the show notes. Um,
Yes, show notes.
only because it's a lengthy last name, Marchese. But yeah, if you're looking to grow your Instagram, I'm happy to help. Or if you have questions about like my feng shui experience, I'm totally down to talk about that too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time, and thank you for
Yeah,
sharing your
I love
before and
being
after
here.
with us.
Yeah, you got it. No problem.